All right, glad to have you back there. You must agree with me. That was really topical. But let's move on and tell you President Tinubu's dedication to fostering job creation and the development of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises stands as a cornerstone of his administration's economic agenda. With a vision centering on empowering entrepreneurs and bolstering employment opportunities, President Bola Tinubu's policies and initiatives are poised to reshaping Nigeria's economic landscape, offering promising prospects for the citizens and small businesses, aiming for growth and sustainability. Let's look at the president's approach towards job creation and MSMEs development and the significance of these initiatives in the context of the nation's economic growth and prosperity. For more insights, I'm being joined by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Job Creation, MSMEs, Office of the Vice President, Mr. Tola Adekunle Johnson, MFR. Thank you so much. It's good to see you, Mr. Tola.
Good afternoon. Good to see you as well.
Thank you so much. First, let's start with President Tinubu's efforts and the agenda. Please make us understand where we are headed. We know that there's been a lot of talks around re-energizing the MSME space, giving them the opportunity to contribute more to exports and all of that. So take us through that agenda and what we should expect moving forward.
Okay, thank you once again. Prior to the inauguration or during the campaigns of Mr. President, he made it very clear that the MSME space was a sector he was very interested in, and rightly so. Rightly so because of the importance they play in any economy. And upon inauguration, he also reiterated his thoughts prior to the inauguration, which says that his focus was trying to create an environment where MSMEs in Nigeria thrive seamlessly, day to day, go about their businesses and not necessarily needing government's support. However, wherever they need government support, that support is provided for them by government seamlessly. And in doing so, he's also encouraged partnership with the private sector. Because you must understand that whilst it is government's responsibility to create an environment for these businesses to thrive or to thrive or to run their businesses day to day, you can't also take away the role of the private sector. The role of the private sector, which also employs largely these MSMEs, basically. So what we have done is reach out to a number of private sector, shared some of our ideas with them, and they've come on board to say, okay, we've listened to some of your ideas. This is where we can come in. These are where we can come in. These are the places, areas we can support. So we've identified partners who have come in willing to support. If you recall, on Friday, 29th, His Excellency, the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, GCON, launched a program with a private sector, with a commercial bank, Wema Bank, called FG Wema Alert. It's called FG Wema Alert. Now, what it aims to do is to support 2 million youths in the digital business area, then provide support for 1 million MSMEs. So we have 2 million youths, then 1 million MSMEs. What it's trying to do is that it's going to create digital economy or digital facilities in 15 states across the country. Now, in these places, MSMEs can walk into those buildings and run their businesses end to end. What do I mean? When an for instance, let's take a place like, let's use Lagos. An MSME who has a computer and maybe probably has to pay for internet to run his business can walk into this building, get a code, and is able to run his business in that place for 8 hours. You know, you get a code, you want to print, you can print, you want to send, you have a Wi-Fi that just seamlessly connects to your phone, you know, to your system. You can edit. There are everything you need. You know, every gadget you need to run your business that day, if you choose, will be available there for you. Basically, you need to send an email. You can send it from there. Maybe you used to run your business in an environment where your network is not good, the internet service in your area is not is bad. So you can walk into this facility and make use of it at a token, close to nothing, more or less. You know, so what that aims to do, like I said earlier on, is to support 2 million businesses. So we're looking at buildings where we're looking at, and now the state government is meant to partner. The state government are meant to provide the facilities that can house an average of 500 MSMEs a day. You know, so we are working on that and then trying to ensure that a few of those ones are commissioned by His Excellency the Vice President before December. Wema Bank has committed to 15. We're also working with a few other partners in addressing the issue of access to funding, but not just access to funding. Now, access to funding at good tenure, because no small business can really survive on an interest rate of, right now, the range is between 28% and 32%. Honestly, no businesses are able to survive in that space. You know, so we are working with a certain commercial bank that is willing to give us what we call a discounted loan for MSMEs. And once the details are tied up, His Excellency, Mr. Vice President, will be making this announcement in conjunction with this commercial bank. We're working on something where they will not be able to give us the single digit that we're looking at as government, because that is what we are encouraging all government agencies who handle all DFIs with government to do. For instance, like Bank of Industry, where the government is insisting that MSMEs must get facilities from them at single digits. And we are working on a scheme to ensure that this is done. They already have something that they are doing, you know, in this regard, but we're trying to scale. Because when you have about 40 million MSMEs, prior to COVID, it was about 41 million. But after COVID, with the survey that was conducted by Smedan, and I want to assume that, yeah, by Smedan, the numbers fell slightly. So it's about 36 million MSMEs. So when you have 36 million MSMEs, we're trying to ensure that we scale to the point where if you're doing anything for MSMEs in regards to access to funding, for instance, you have its impacts to like 20%, 30% of that space. So it's also very important, because if you come and say, oh, you are running a scheme for MSMEs and you're trying to ensure that they have access to funding, and oh, you're saying 5,000 MSMEs have accessed this funding, that is not good enough. Mr. President's vision, that is not good enough. And I recall that is what His Excellency the Vice President keeps reiterating as well, that scaling is very important. So to a large extent, we must be able to positively affect the lives of MSMEs day to day so that they go about their businesses. So the one way to look at it is that the private sector will be playing a lot of role with regards MSMEs intervention this time around, and with regards sustainable job creation. Because that is very important, because when you create a job, you should be able to ensure that this job that is created in January is sustainable for another 20, 30, 40 years. You don't want to create jobs that after a year, the person is back into the labor market. So we are creatively looking at a scheme that will be announced shortly by my bosses that will immediately onboard both formal and informal sector, skilled and unskilled, we're looking at both the graduates, both the artisans, the carpenters, the mechanics, the tilers. I mean, artisans. If you are good with your hands, we're trying to create an avenue where you can where you can earn a living for yourself and your family. I mean, we're currently working on that, and within a short period, those details will be out in the general public.
Okay. Mr. Tola, interesting breakdown, I must say, detailed, breaking it down, letting us understand. I already delved into finance and all of that, and I was going to look at. But there was this time where I'm looking at regulatory bodies, when we had this one-stop shop where we tried to address issues with CAC, SON. So because the regulatory bodies must have that handshake with you and, of course, the government to be able to achieve this. So what are you thinking along that line, and also issues around maybe infrastructure that remains a challenge?
Oh, it's funny how to directly answer that, Mr. President has actually approved that the National MSME Clinic has been reviewed by the Vice President, that it continues. It is at this National MSME Clinics that we're able to go to about 30 states in the last government. So that it continues, but he has reviewed it, the Vice President has reviewed it to add certain interfaces with private sector and investors. So it is at these MSME clinics that these regulatory bodies who are partners, who are the major partners of these clinics, this is where they come in. And this is where the VP and the President hold the hammer and says to them, we cannot be bottlenecks to MSMEs. Rather, we as government, or we as government entities and regulators must be the ones to open the doors for these MSMEs and ensure that their businesses run smoothly. So, His Excellency, the Vice President, is actually calling a meeting of all regulators in this space, basically to charge them and he's going to let them know what Mr. President's vision is, and the fact that the team is going to chase this vision vigorously, and anyone who drops the ball at any point in time will have Mr. President to answer to. So we, as government, must play our role. These regulatory agencies must play their roles. Their roles are to open doors for MSMEs. Their roles are to regulate, not to strangulate the MSME space. So we are going to ensure that this is done, And the good thing is that a lot of these agencies and their heads are already keyed into the vision of Mr. President. And I know that some of the agencies are already working on schemes that can improve this space. For instance, I'm aware that NAFDAC is trying to see what it can do to ensure that the long wait for MSMEs to get their NAFDAC numbers registered is reduced significantly. I know CAC is trying to ensure that businesses are registered within 24 hours. And you can register your business by yourself. You don't need an agent. I know that BOI, just as I just said, I know that BOI is trying to ensure that the single digit loan to MSMEs is scaled up. I'm also aware that SON, with standards, they are trying to look at their policies and looking at NAFDAC's policies and see where they can handshake, and not, for instance, if NAFDAC is asking for a product, for a condition, SON shouldn't ask for that condition once NAFDAC takes off. So there should be that handshake. And both agencies are speaking on that. So any bottleneck for MSMEs, that impairs the running of their businesses, we are trying to remove as a government. And the administration is very serious about it. They are very key about trying to ensure that businesses in this country run smoothly without harassment. Multiple taxation is another thing. When an MSME is harassed in the morning, somebody comes 3 o'clock in the afternoon, before they close, there's another. So you can see that Mr. President approved the tax reform committee. And these are some of the issues that they are looking at, basically, to ensure that if an MSME will be taxed, aside from whatever tax that the federal, the state governments are collecting. It is known. So you can't just wake up one day because you feel like you need money from somewhere. You look for the next small business. You now go and harass the person in the name of tax. So these are things that Mr. President is looking at. And we are confident that with the report of the tax committee, something will be done. Something will be done very urgently in that regard.
Interesting stuff there. You've addressed almost all my concerns, but let's talk about some will say some small businesses also need trainings to have bankable projects. Not every project is bankable. Not so what are you also doing in regards to bringing, should I say, young ones and of course all those in businesses together to make sure that their projections are feasible? They're not just looking at projects that at the end of the day might not be able to even pay back for those that might get loans.
Okay, so what you have touched on capacity even within the businesses themselves, and that's very key. Some MSMEs are not even sure what is profits and what is a loss. As long as any money that comes in for them is profits. And I think that's the first place to begin in business, 101. You must understand that this money I'm bringing in is the capital I'm using to start this business. So if at the end of the day, 1 naira 50 kobo comes in, you should know that profit is 50 kobo. It's not 1 naira 50 kobo. Once you go ahead and spend 1 naira 50 kobo, you have spent your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner. So you have to understand that. So we are bringing in the likes of Smedan. Smedan has this capacity building program that is organizing for SMEs across the country to at least get them to understand the simple rudiments of business. Simple rudiment. When you are going into business, there are certain basic things that are very important that as you are going into business. So we are getting the likes of Smedan to explain that to them. And for the vocational businesses, we are getting the likes of ITF, which is the Industrial Training Fund, to also explain this to MSMEs. We are getting them to do end-to-end impactful trainings for them, and it's going to be free. We're having discussions with these agencies, and not just them, we're also liaising with the private sector as well, so that they bring in the private sector side to whatever trainings that they are having. It is important because there are businesses that do not even need to interface with government, except maybe they need to go and meet a regulator for one thing or the other. They are simply private sector. So we are trying to ensure that on the table, we have the government, the private sector, all sitting down to ensure that we work for the interest of the Nigerian people and the Nigerian small businesses. Those regulators that you mentioned are very, very key to the success and failure of these businesses. And sometimes it's not because the regulators are not even trying. Sometimes maybe the issue is that the MSMEs are not even aware. Like the issue of the national MSME clinics. When we go into the states, and the day one is for the different agencies to explain what they do to the MSMEs. This is us. This is what we do. This is our mandate. This is what we can do for you as a business. This is how we can help you. And if you need our number, it was like an eye-opener to a lot of businesses. Oh, I didn't know that Smedan could do this. I didn't even know that Nexim does this. I didn't know that SON could do this. So we're now pushing these agencies to go out, reach out to the MSMEs. You are now the doctors. Actually, they say doctors don't advertise themselves. You go to the doctors. But in this case, you are going to advertise yourselves because we need these MSMEs to be aware of your mandates, your functions, and how they can come to you for support. So we are going to emphasize on this. And initially, we had about 13 partners. Now, as we speak, I think we currently have about 23 partners with a few more private sector planning to come on board. We have the likes of NASME coming on board. We have MAN. We have, we have a few other private sector that now want to be involved in the clinics. Is now expanded. What we now do is that per clinic. We have, for instance, we have tailored it to now fit into it's now going to be states or region specific. If a state or a region is known for agriculture, the clinics we are going to have in that place will be like 70% focused on agriculture. So that the investors we are bringing into that clinic will be from that space. They see a business that they like, or they see an innovative business, and they're interested in being a part of the business. So it's not like a market square where, oh, I like what you're doing, I have X amount, can I invest in your business? So you are going to start seeing MSMEs come up. There'll be transactions going on. There'll be people that will come, big people, well-to-do people, successful business owners that will come and say, listen, I like what you're doing with your business. Can I buy some shares in your business? You know, we are drafting the legal parts to this so that no MSME for instance, no MSMEs is cheated out of their business. We don't want issues of, oh, this person came in and took 90% of my business. So there's a legal arm that has been drafted to ensure that MSMEs are protected, you know, in their negotiations, basically. So, but what we are trying to do for the SMEs is that if you wake up in the morning and you have something you are doing, legitimate, that you are doing, to bring home food to your family, this government will support you.
Great stuff.
If you wake up in the morning and you have something legitimate that you go to work to go and do, to bring home something to the table for your family, this government will support you.
That's a good one, a good way to wrap it. What more do you want to tell Nigerians in 1 minute as we wrap up? Should we expect from your office? Yes, please.
Well, just to say to Nigerians that to say things that are tough it's like stating the obvious. But the long-term plan for this government is for every business to run smoothly without even needing the government. This government is trying to ensure that there is an enabling environment for businesses to thrive, basically. And we're on our way to doing that.
I want to thank you so much. And we'll keep a tab on this. We will definitely have you to monitor and evaluate all of this, because that is key for Nigerians to know positives you're making. I've been speaking to Mr. Tola Adekunle Johnson, MFR. He is a senior special assistant to the president on job creation and MSMEs, Office of the Vice President. Thank you so much. Do enjoy the rest of your day.